Happy Wednesday, people. Welcome to the Kris the Critic show. I am Kris. If you notice, my beautiful, smart co-host, Gina B, she is in Vegas. Super producer Jake, can you bring in Gina B? And while we bring in Gina B, I just wish all the teachers out here a National Happy Teachers Day. Today's show, people, I'm going to get right into it. We've been doing a Dating Over 40 series. Seems that there's a big disconnect in folks finding each other. So last couple weeks I've had sisters on the show, giving us what they like, what they don't like, what's out here, how they perceive the dating pool. By the way, some say that there's pee in it. I disagree wholeheartedly.
And poo.
So, therefore, we brought in a couple brothers today. We'll bring those in shortly. But before we do, Gina B, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
I miss you here in the studio.
Aw,
I'm drinking apple juice in your honor.
Listen, I will take it. I'm drinking water, but the apple juice starts a little later over here.
So just so you know, we have two guests coming in. One who's here, Bernard Kramer. Bernard went to U of I with me. You can ask him. I've sent him some sample questions, but you can give a recap when he comes on and why we're here. And I know I talk a lot, but I'll let you lead a lot of this.
Oh.
Because I don't want my female viewers thinking I'm a little biased leading the gentleman in any particular direction.
Okay.
So, Jake, super producer Jake, without further ado, can you bring in Bernard Kramer?
I really want to show you.
Everybody's international. Kramer, what's good?
What's up, bro? How you feel, man?
Man, thank you for joining the show. That's my co-host, you see, Gina B. We got one other brother who's
How you doing?
having some technical difficulties. We'll get him in. But, man, Gina B, can you recap Bernard on the last few shows we've had? And then I sent him some sample questions. We can get right into it.
Absolutely. So, okay. For purposes of Bernard and people who have not been here for the last couple of weeks, we've had, as Kris mentioned, the Dating Over 40 series, and we've talked to women who have been single with mates over 40, who have had some trouble, with single men, marriage-minded, who are interested in moving forward with positive relationships. And so now we would like to speak to some of the men. Bernard, where are you? Are you in a loud environment?
You all hear me though?
I thought I like.
We hear you now. How about Bernard? While Gina speaks, you go on mute and then unmute when you. Oh, there we go. He can still hear you.
I just don't want it to be like too much noise for the audience. So anyway, all this to say that now we're excited to talk to some of these single men and figure out where they perceive difficulties or challenges in the dating pool, if you do perceive any, because it might be very easy for you. There seems to be a lot of choices out there. So that's where we're going to jump in. And so are we going to wait for our other guest, Kris?
No, he'll just have to jump right in because we got a limited time. The show coming in after this.
Okay, cool. So Bernard, tell us, as you drink your own variety of apple juice there, what are you single? Tell us a little bit about yourself and if you're single and what you're looking for.
53 years old, so I'm well over that 40 threshold. Very single, living out in Washington, D.C., enjoying myself. Can I put it? Alone, but not lonely. I enjoy my time or whatever. I enjoy my peace. I'm not, I'm not experiencing any sadness or whatever as a result of not being in a relationship, but I am looking forward to being in one.
Now, when you say that, okay, you say you're single, so does that mean you're not married or that you're not like in a relationship?
So,
Well, you're muted. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. At present, not in a relationship of any sort.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're not in a relationship of any sort. Okay, now we have our other guest. So I'm going to, hey, Travis, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Well, before we get to Travis, what's going on, brother? Thank you for joining us. Travis, you've seen some of the past few shows, so you sort of know what, you've been watching these. But I just want our listeners to know. Bernard, tell us a little bit about you. I mean, you told us you were single. What you do while you're looking,
I went to school. Me and Kris went to the same school, U of I. I grew up in Chicago, currently living in DC. I'm a career educator, um, activist, author. I run a small business as well. So just enjoying life, and much of my life is dedicated to basically trying to see us move forward as a community.
Okay.
Cool. I appreciate it. And Gina B, just so you know, I reached out and tried to find not just any single brothers, but these are more two of the smarter guys that I know. I've learned a lot from Bernard through especially social media on his especially on our culture on that front. My eyes have been open to a lot of things. One of the reasons I ran that for office, shout out to you, Kramer, trying to make a change in the community. Travis, why don't you tell folks a little bit about you as well? Morehouse grad, I know. But why don't you tell the folks who you are?
Hey, hello everyone. Yeah, I'm Travis Powers, a new 50-year-old. So I'm getting my new bones here, meaning this year. Um, I'm an entrepreneur, actually from Southern Illinois, believe it or not. Been here almost 30 years, father of three, newly single, so to speak, on the market. That's a whole nother bag of worms we're about to jump into. Professionally, I am an entrepreneur, and I've owned and or sold or started or launched businesses in these several industries: transportation, logistics, IT, staffing, and we're launching a new workforce platform you all need to learn about. It's called Workforce 21, that is focused on diverse skills and talent. So we will have that new marketplace up very, very soon, and we'll be talking to you guys about impacting change for the Gen Z oncoming skills community.
Okay, great. Thanks for the whole background. Okay, what I want to jump into though is not the professional part. I want to jump into, you said you were newly single, Travis. So what does that mean specifically?
Well, I mean, obviously you're aware of my prior relationship. Was that 20 years together? So I'm just learning, Gina, just how this works again, right? I'm good with meeting people and talking to people, but this dating thing, I'm not good at. I don't do it, quite frankly. I'm not out here on the market dating. Um, I think I know a lot of great women already.
Okay.
And so I think that the time needed to be spent for me making sure my family was in a good place so that if we were integrating a new person, a new body, a new mind, a new spirit into that sphere, it would be successful. So
Okay.
that's what it means for me. But that said, I'm super fun. I enjoy the dialogue and the banter. I am as cool as they come. So let's do it. You know, the last time I was on the show, we had a really good time. I'm
We
looking
did.
forward to it. But let's hear what's happening, Bernard. You know, let's give these people what they want, brother. Let's give whatever that is, Gina. Let's give it to them, okay?
Okay, you're so funny. So, okay, so and we need to refamiliarize our audience with you, Travis. So I'm probably going to I'm going to retread some questions, and we're going to probably get into both of these, all these questions with both of you, if you don't mind. So, Travis, you say you have 3 kids. How old are your children?
27, 15, and 14.
Okay, so your children are good, like advanced age.
Hey, right. That's a good thing, right?
No, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. So now, all right, Bernard, do you have any children?
A 33-year-old son, and I have 3 grandchildren.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you got a tribe. All right, wonderful. So now tell me, all right, both of you, newly single. I'll start with you, Bernard. What are the qualities that you look for if you were to, that you said you're feeling no pain in this dating game? Fine. Are you finding qualities of women that you would like to be in a relationship with? And if so, what are those qualities?
Somewhat. I mean, it's not difficult out here dating. I do have certain preferences or whatever with what I do in terms of ideology. I date black women solely, African minded, preferably, at least semi-conscious. Caring about the community, definitely not indifferent about the community and things that are going on, and looking to grow. In terms of the basics, being honest, considerate, and respectful. Those things, of course, attractive. My preference in terms of the aesthetics is the less is better. I like the way a sister looks without all the adornments. I'm not going to specify because I don't want to offend anybody off the
You don't
bat.
want any big, you don't want any big, you don't want any BBLs or
No,
uh,
none of that. But that's pretty much it, though. I don't have any, like a 100 itemized list of what I need in a black woman. You know what I mean? Pretty much just those things.
all
All
right.
right, I want to piggyback off something he said. So we've had successful women on the show as well, and every time they come with a list and they want to hit me over the head because I say having a list sort of prevents you from possibly from good catches. Gina B is wincing because she is a believer in the list. But I
Well,
tend to think the
caveats.
people that carry a list have a lot of delusional things on the list. Bernard says something that, I mean, it's not just me, it's not just him. Every source I read, whether it's black, white, other, respect is usually number one on a man's list. And I tend to think that that is getting sort of lost out here. I don't know. I don't know the blame, social media. I don't know what it is. Do you find that it's, I don't know, that the dating pool sometimes, Bernard, there are people that are a little more superficial than what you'd like to see?
Don't lead our guests. First of all.
Oh, sorry about
Two things. First of all, you have to qualify success. What do you mean by success?
True. Typically, I define success as a person who's taking care of him or herself, who has a high character and believes in something. But it seems that respect and love, in my opinion, have been replaced by what can you do for me, how much money you have, and that sort of thing. And as I say on my shows, I've never seen a couple married 30, 40 years that point to I stayed with him because he had some money.
Okay, let me just jump in really quick to caveats to this list thing. So Chris always he doesn't like a list, right? Even though he's always got one. But my point is that on the list, you believe that for some reason everything on a list is superficial, and that's not accurate. Like some of the things on your list has good character, has ethical, high moral, whatever. Like it doesn't always have to be he gotta be 6'3"
Gina
with
B,
big
what do
muscles.
people usually come on this show and say? What's the first three things they name?
I mean, I think that there's
As
a
a
lot.
question.
Like what? Money,
That's
height,
all I'm saying.
less.
It's all,
But my point is, just because you have a list does not mean that it's full to bursting with
but if
trivialities.
that's the first thing people say, it's like reading the ingredients on a item of food. The first couple things are the things that has the most in it. Now you can't tell me I need him to be 6'3", make $200,000, and be well endowed, and then say, but the most important thing is character. 30
No, I'm
minutes
not.
later.
My whole point is that every list is not just if you have a list. Like I told you, okay, we're not going to belabor the list piece.
All right.
Okay, let's move on to Travis. I want to hear about what Travis's qualifications are for,
Wow.
and if you are ready for a relationship, honestly, because if you just got out of one, it may be that you.
No, I'm not there yet. I'm not there. But I've observed for sure, right? I'm observant. For me, I want people to be honest about what their true intentions are, and what their needs are. So first of all, let's be real, right? Like I mean, that modifies person to person. So when we talk about Kris, bringing up what women want or what men want, and I feel like Bernard was really transparent about this as well. Is I want a woman that appeals to me too, and I want it in three buckets. I want it spiritually, I want it mentally, and I obviously want it physically. And it's for three different reasons. They serve different purposes. I come from a line of praying women, right? So when I think about a woman and them being in my life and who's had any sustainable presence and impact in my life, they've been very, very, very much connected to their spiritual side. Okay. Just talking about my 50 years.
You want PRAY in women as opposed to PREY.
I can do them both.
You want to be praying?
One supersedes the other.
Okay.
I can manage the EY. I can manage that too. I know how to manage that, right? And then obviously, when it comes to physical, for me, I'm not boxed into it has to be this black woman that looks like this. I'm clearly before, dated outside of the spectrum. I'm not afraid of that either. I'm conscious of it because I do have a daughter who's my youngest. So, what am I saying? What's the message if I bring somebody that doesn't look like mom home now? I would think through that very thoroughly. So, there's some bias there, and I'm open to admitting that. And then, obviously, like I stated, the mental part. Do you have the EQ along with the IQ, right? Like, I'm looking for somebody that, at least for me, can keep me laughing, can be enjoyable in the darkest of hour, can identify and express empathy without having to think that needs to be returned right away. Um, the emotional agility thing is really, really, really tough when you start talking about blended families and someone accepting what your ills or weaknesses or your whatever your baggage is, because we're all bringing it. So I think that for me is where the attraction lies. So I'd like to sit back and get to know people, learn more about their communication cadence. I think if you can sit back and do that, you'll learn so much more about a person. Lastly, for me, I hate being boxed in and judged. It bugs the shit out of me. Like, that is the absolute worst thing you can do, is box me in and judge me because you think you know what you found out or what you researched on the line or whatever it is. It's like, listen, slow down. Nobody's out here to get you. We're grown as hell, and we're doing this in public and in daylight. All right, y'all. That's the coolest thing about 50. Shit happens during the daylight hours. So, long and short, I want somebody that's got other responsibilities and other interests and takes on, new tasks and such. So I'm ready to learn more about other people, bottom line. And then if love happens and marriage and all that other stuff happens and I go through that process again or whatever, I'm down for that. I don't know that that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Good stuff, brother. Gina B, can I ask?
Go ahead.
I want to piggyback. I want to ask Kramer Bernard something. Bernard, you are in D.C., man. I've been to D.C., and it's no shortage of beautiful women in D.C.
True.
So, you being a good-looking brother, you got a nice gig. What do you think are why do you think so many women, especially our more mature sisters, are finding difficulty finding a spouse that they deem worthy?
I think you kind of touched on it a little bit. A lot of it has to do with the media, and I think expectations sometimes. But I don't put it all on our women because I do look around and I see a lot of. I hang out with men, black men.
You see some trifling Negroes out here in these.
I mean, we both have issues, the men and the women on both sides.
Right, exactly.
But if we're not owning our issues or we're not engaged in any sort of self-awareness, it makes it difficult for both sides. And so, in terms of a lot of women being single in D.C., I mean, the numbers are definitely skewed in men's favor. I mean, way in men's favor. So that alone plays into it. But in terms of why women are walking around single, I mean, I can't account for that, man. But I'm not going to put it all on women. It's definitely both sides of that equation. There's a lot of single men walking around here too.
So now,
there definitely is.
So when you think of when you look at your male friends who are single, and this can go for both Travis and Bernard, what do you see as the biggest problems? Like when you see I have friends that are single, and I kind of know why, right? When you see some of your single male friends, do you know why they're single? Travis is laughing.
I am laughing. Yes. Some of them just don't need the responsibility of another person's heart, let alone, all the other things that come with that. And I'm sorry, I think you were giving this to Bernard, but man, that's a softball there. But I really like to think about it like this. I think that what's wrong in the interaction or the engagement, and I think that we have been trained to literally try to identify what's wrong versus accept and connect with the thing, whether it's a few things or not, that are already there and could be right. So I think we're finding a reason not to, take a deeper interest in people. And it is clawing at the potential of, some relationships really never even manifested, right? And, my advice to as my daughter is getting into this dating age and stuff like that, is be that brother's friend. Learn to be a friend And the reason why I say this, I'm gonna do a Chris Levy on Kris the Critic. Bam, bam. I gotta do a Chris Levy move. This is my jewel drop for the day. It's men. The reason why you want to position yourself to be a friend to a brother is because men have a very, very tough time doing two things that are their friends, people that are their friends. They have a tough time lying to them, and they hate to disappoint them. That's why you want to be their friend. Work on that. Work from there, and you'll feel safer about all the other things, the insecurities and all the idiosyncrasies that people think should happen in the dating parameters and the cycle of dating. I mean, we just have to understand that we're well beyond some of the norms. Truly, it's great to get into traditional role conversations, but the reality is the way we're meeting and how we're connecting with people through, these digital platforms and stuff like that. A lot of this is going out of the way. We have to learn how to protect ourselves with a new set of standards. And so I'm somewhat old school, but I understand the adoption of technology and enablement around it. So I'm just excited about, like I stated, for me, learning people. As my boy Kevin Harmon says, I could take a chick that could choke me by the neck intimately and in life. So I can deal with it either way.
That was a good pearl of wisdom.
Keeping it 100.
He's friend. I love it. Kris, do you have any other?
Well, yeah, I keep a couple questions.
I know you do.
Either one of you can start it off. And I'm going back to the last show because I felt we had some women in here. I thought they were some good character women. They were really successful, but I felt that they had it in their mind that they had an issue with what a lot of and shout out to a lot of sisters, because sisters, we all know, are doing it well in education and making a lot of money. But I think these women were in a space that very few Americans get of any race. and yet and still, it sounded like the mandate was, I gotta have a guy making more money. I mean, we went back and forth on it, Gina B, but what were your thoughts? First, Gina B, what were your thoughts? And then I want to hear from the fellas.
On the women saying they want a man who makes more money?
Considering the amount of money they make. It's not like we're talking about some sisters making.
Well, I mean, I think most women, okay, so no woman is going to tell you that she's like excited about a man making less money than she does. Like, okay, so that does not speak to what is reasonable, right?
She should be more excited about the man.
Okay, but my point is, if we're only talking about money, if all things equal, right? No woman's like, yeah, I really want a man who makes less money than me. I don't know one who would say that. However, what I will say is that if you are in an upper echelon of income of earners, then you understand that you are cutting your pool significantly if you only limit your dating to people who do make more money than you. So if you would like to dramatically limit your resources, then feel free. But everyone obviously has their preferences.
I mean,
but don't.
If it was working, I would say go for it. I mean,
exactly. Like if it is working, then if you can work with it, then work with it.
Don't you guys think that changes as people age, though? At least for men, no. What do you all's take on that? Like for me,
men care about money. I've never walked around partner with guys and we said, "Man, look at the income. We don't care."
Okay.
Well, you guys don't care. Now, Travis, what are you saying? You're asking if it changes?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think it gradually changes for most people. I was having this conversation with my brothers over the weekend, and we have young adult sons in that first tier of grandchildren, and so for my parents or whatever, and my son is the youngest of those three young men, and we're just talking about some of the things he's challenged with, and I started laughing as I'm parenting through this thing for him, because I'm like, dude, this is about to change for you, bro. Don't get all caught up in this thing. So I thought that let's say 20 to 25 to 30 was that window where you were seeking perfection, like the woman who could do it all, be it all, and you were projecting out what they could and would be in your household and potentially to your family from a total makeup perspective. I think that as you hit mid 30s, some of those early people that you weren't able to get to, and maybe were pretty quick to jump into marriages, and maybe they failed or what have you. There's different things that happen. People grow apart. I think as you get to your mid 30s, this is me giving him advice, real life advice. This is no filter here. I'm like, if you make it there, slow up. because there's a tidal wave of women that you're going to be able to pick from that decided they were going to go the career route and take care of themselves or pursue a career, a professional degree, and they just never really got to that point where they were married. And then you got those that were really tight that were coming out of marriages. So now you're 38 and that pool opens up and you're dating well into the early to mid 40s, as well as you're going down into the early 30s. So I think there's where for a man, the potential of what you really want ordering from the menu starts to really, really get to be interesting, even if they've even had a prior relationship. But if you're single then and you remotely have yourself together, you're gainfully employed, can put two syllable words together on a consistent basis and know exactly where to iterate the enunciation, you're in an upper 10%. I hate to say that, but you are, let alone you be in some decent shape. And as we get in our 40s, we've kind of become who we're going to be. And I mean that financially. Okay, now I'm going back to this financial thing. I don't know too many of the people, when you ask the question about being single, part of a person 45, 50, whoever that is single, that is still, remotely close to what they look like in their formative years, they're just probably kind of stuck in their ways and like, I'm better at finding that person that's willing to put up with the person I am now and doing that on an incremental basis and not really dating for money, to Kris's point, no matter what their income level is though. Because I've got friends that hit the entire spectrum. I've got friends right now that could just straight up retire and live, I don't like to use comfortable life, I'm talking about luxurious lives. Right. And I've got some friends that, boy, if they don't go to work tomorrow, shit's going to be tight next Tuesday. Okay. Real talk. And I'm saying, I see the same characteristics what I'm saying in that whole trajectory of life, so to speak, around dating. So those are just the things that we were kind of just coming out of. We talk about this a lot because we have girls too. So there it is.
So go ahead, Gina B. I want to hear Bernard's take, but go ahead, Gina.
Yeah, I was going to ask for both of them. So that said,
Bernard's take on this. I want to hear Bernard's take on this concern about finances.
For me personally, and it's subject to preference. I understand that we have to survive capitalism. That's the nature of living in this country and this world in order to get basic needs and that sort of thing. But I don't assign a monetary value to human beings, namely the person that I'm looking to date or settle down with. Her value is not determined by the amount of fiat currency that she's able to pull in by her station or by her status. That doesn't matter to me. I'm really about finding an organic chemistry where we connect on that level, and we build together, and we're happy, and we provide peace for each other. Money plays no part in my relationships, and to each his own. If a woman is looking for somebody that makes a certain amount of money or whatever, and that's what she wants, cool. Same thing for a man, but it's unrealistic to expect that a relationship that's founded and based on currency is going to be one that's going to be able to, go through hell. Because if your relationship is literally defined by money or whatever, let's say somebody loses a job, does their value decline as well while you're in this marriage?
I think I may need you to host the show next week.
But no, seriously though, I mean, it's sad.
Nothing to add.
It's unfortunate to me how much capitalism has infected our relationships, and it's the reason why our divorces are so high. Like, they're really high. A lot of them are basically founded on how much he make or how much she make, and that's literally what's being pushed to us. That's what's being promoted to us on these nonsensical reality TV shows. But that's literally what the whole gist is. Oh, my man makes this much money, he's a celebrity, and they want to be celebrity wise and this and that. So people that are consuming that stuff, they're subconscious and saturated with it. And so that's what we're hearing. That's what a lot of women are looking for. Not all of them, that's what a lot of men are looking for. But I don't care what you do for a living. That does not matter to me, as long as you're able to provide for yourself, period. And you're not looking to me as a dependent.
What do you think, Gina B?
What do I think about the finances aspect of things?
I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, that answer.
No, I like his statement.
I mean, admittedly, sometimes I sound like an a-hole giving an answer. So he just gave a Kris the Critic answer sounding a lot more it was more palatable, admittedly. So I that's why I started clapping over here. But that is, Gina B, you and I go back and forth, and this is a me and you thing. We'll be talking about this after the show.
Oh boy.
I like that answer. I think that's real. That's why you got a lot of athletes out here. They'll marry somebody that looks good, and then she's marrying him for money. It's over, a couple years later. So that's
hold on. You got Tennille Jackson out here from the. I'm going back to your old studio. I saw you put her in the chat. Super strong sister. She doesn't even know that I think highly of her because she doesn't know that I really know her. Obviously, I know her brother, Tennille. And so you were saying something about this was for her. What do we want to answer for her today?
She just got tired of looking at women on the screen.
Oh, okay. We're here. Let's I'm gonna go Kris the Critic on Kris the Critic. Let's give the people what they want.
Wait a minute, Jake. Producer Jake here. If you see some comments, I saw Nate Turner ask first off, thank you all for the comments. I do go back after the show and check them all out, but let's see what and Nate Turner played in the NFL. So let's see what brother Nate. I was dating a woman with a higher 7-figure income, and she was whack.
Yeah.
More money, more problems. That's what Biggie said. Give me a rock solid woman that can pay her bills and take me out for a burger every now and then. I say that all the time, but when you ask, at least me, and this is, again, I've been married a while, but if you ask a modern woman, when it comes to finances, they'll go back to saying they're old-fashioned. So I don't like those games, but that's me. I tend to just walk on and move on to the next one. But like I said, if somebody can get it, fine. But Travis, you mentioned something about when you get to be more mature, at least for a man. I know that I'm married to a beautiful woman that's near my age. But if I was single right now, I probably knowing me would date younger. But that's me. And I think I can't speak for all men, but a lot of that is I date typically people who look like me. And in our community, fitness is an issue, and I am a visual creature. And typically that's why I would. I mean, it is what it is. So that coupled with the older I get, I can't take a combative mate.
Kris is like, if you're not fine, don't cause me no problems.
But Gina,
I don't want you causing me problems, period.
He's like, yo, sisters are like hard to deal with.
Well, when you talked about being younger, somebody dating younger, when I was younger, if they were fine, they could say anything to me. Now I'm like, you know what? Don't even, I just wouldn't be able to deal with it. I'm just wondering what other brothers feel out here in these dating streets, because y'all out here, I'm not, so.
It's not for me. That may change in my 60s. It's not for me. I'm trying to be appealing as long as I can be, right? Eat right, live right, be active, all that kind of stuff. Stay engaged, keep a family that really is one to be proud of for a foundation. I just don't see a younger woman, when you start talking about 30-something years old, man, she's got to really have some shit together. I'm just going to keep it 100 with you. I just don't see her keeping up. And I also feel like I'm probably a mentor to that person more so than I can be a lover to them. I'm not afraid of the pace of what the lover has to do at that stage. I'm more concerned with the fact that when you can keep pace in a situation like that, what else you're bringing to the table that you may be cutting them off to. I just don't know. It's just not my thing, but I ain't mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I'm more likely, even at 50, to probably play up in the upper 50s between the two. If you catch 32 to 58, give me the bad 58-year-old. I'm good. I'm playing, please. I want to hear what's please. Because there are some.
Because in DC, they got some sisters from all ages just killing the game. No diss to Chicago, but I want to hear his take on this. Sorry, Gina B.
It's beautiful sisters in both places. I got to give a shout out to my Chicago sisters, especially one I'm real cool with. I'm not
They crazy here, man. You can say that. Everybody know they crazy in Chicago. But go ahead.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'll let you have that one. I have a pretty wide window, man, in terms of dating, age-wise or whatever. I'll date a sister that's a little older than me and a sister that's a little younger than me. It depends on where her head is at. In terms of health, I mean, that's important. Number one, in terms of attractiveness, I'm not attracted to somebody that's, not in shape. You call it superficial or whatever, I'm just not. But as we get older, like my man alluded to, I would like someone that I'm not in the hospital with every other week. That respects themselves and respects their body enough to, at least try to eat healthy. And at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, out of respect for the person that I'm with, I'm going to stay in shape. Because there are physical things that we like to partake in, whether it's travel and vacation or just sex, that you need to be in shape for. And that should be a component of our relationship as long as possible, if possible.
Real talk. Well said, Bernard. Without all the bias that I tend to bring to the conversation.
Well, from our perspective as women, it's funny because we have the same thing. Like there's a lot of guys who have given their best lives to the streets, right?
Ooh.
And they wanna settle down with us when they need a purser or someone who can recognize the signs of a stroke or a heart attack. And it's like, no, see, that's not cool either. When you've got your erectile dysfunction problems, so you've been running the street this whole time, and then all of a sudden now,
nice,
and you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's a lot of,
that's real. That's real. That is
real.
Wow. I hadn't even gone there. That's
like all these dudes. Like, there's a lot of people out there that have not been taking care of themselves. Period. Like, you see these guys, and they have the broad shoulders and everything when they were in college, and those broad shoulders have sunk down to their midsections somehow. And then they want to talk shit about sisters, and I'm like, nah, bruh. Because especially
you can't just be out here erectile dysfunction shaming.
Well, you guys have
brothers out. But that's real. It's real. I hear it out here. Look, we at the 15-minute mark. Gina B, keep going with the questions. I know you got some more. But anyone who is listening and you want, because I'll answer the questions later, but if you want to type in a question, Jake, anything that looks good for one of our guests, then just pop it up there and Gina B will get to it when she gets to it. Sorry.
Yeah, I will answer. But yes, I see a lot of women that are, like, no need to wipe drool. Yes, Nate Turner, there is no need to wipe drool. Nobody wants to do that. And also about the money thing, let me just go a little deeper in before I ask a question. It's when you are a woman who's over 40 and you've done well as far as saving money and having a good career and doing all that, what you don't want is to partner with somebody who's who's fucking up money. I mean, real talk. Like there've been a lot of people who they have financial messiness. You don't want to engage with that. And so sometimes it's a woman, you're preserving what you've built as opposed to, I need a man who's going to,
as you should. Yeah.
I mean, you don't look, if I used to, before when I was dating, if I got an inkling that there was some dude who was financially sloppy, that was, we're not doing that. I mean, it would have nothing to do with he doesn't make enough, but he's not doing enough with what he has. So that's the other bit of
money. You got a lot of money, Gene.
Yeah. Or
not doing anything.
Or you covet it at a different level than others do. One of the statements that I made around money is I've been very good at divorcing money. I mean, I've never married money because I was always having to divorce it, right? So I different reasons probably than what Bernard was stating, but definitely connected to that from a communal standpoint. If it's built on that, if that's the foundation, it's not going to last. The other thing that I'll say that I didn't speak to that just resonated with me because there is a friend of mine who helped trigger some thoughts to me today just because they were asking how I'm doing. That person goes nameless. Is not necessarily a thing to put out there, but I covet privacy. And so when you said messy, it triggered that for me. The word messy. I'm great with your issues. I'm great with your baggage. I know we all have relational trauma that we bring in and out of our existing relationships just because whether they're work related or what have you. But let's be respectful about how we do it, right? I'm really big on that. Like, let's really be respectful. I think one of the things my grandfather used to stress to us all the time was, if you gotta leave, you should really, really focus on how you leave them. Like leave them better off. We actually have it written down. Leave them better off than you came. Like literally every man in our family thinks like that, not with the intent of leaving or intention of having to leave. My grandfather died a married man, et cetera, et cetera. But my point is, to my grandmother, his only wife of, I don't know, 50, 60, whatever it was, years. But my point is that the privacy thing, I think, helps you with the messiness. Someone that's not good at finance, everybody should be able to identify what their strengths and weaknesses are. Hell, we're 50 years old. If I can determine pretty quickly that you like to spend more than you like to save, and that doesn't make you a bad person, we just need to have a conversation about, all right, look, so you're the spender of us two. Boom. If you got two spenders, you need to figure out what the buffer is going to be, right? Now you got to prioritize how you spend. You don't change people. Meet them where they are. Meet them where they are. I mean, I'm telling you, the opportunity is getting to know people. Like, you would be surprised what happens whenever you connect and collaborate with folks.
That's true. But, there are some people who aren't receptive to that. And if someone is receptive to, if you are the better person with finances, with, just anything, right, that could be like perceived as an issue. And I said this last week. Okay, so there are guys, and there are probably women that you meet that initially you don't like their sense of style. You don't like maybe their hair. Those are things that can change, right? If they're open to it. But if they're not open to it, then, it's just going to stay where it is. With money, it's harder because these are ingrained behaviors in a lot of ways. Like over 40, it's like, if you've been messing up money this whole time, like, I'm not going to give you the opportunity to mess up mine, is my point.
I agree.
But in terms of relationships, I think Brother Bernard mentioned it earlier. There are probably more women doing well, right? But I'm still stuck that only 30% of African Americans, period, are married. All right? So there are a lot of single, well-to-do folk out here, male and female. As a matter of fact, I know, black men, a lot of us have our issues, but black men still, due to unfair wages to women, still out-earn black women, degrees and all. So there are men out here, and as I see it, as a person with 3 daughters, what I try to instruct, and Gina B, this is to you really, and then I want the fellas to weigh in. I think men adjust to women. And I used this example before. When I was 16, I heard women like dudes with cars. I didn't stand in the mirror and say, well, I get all A's. No, I went out and got a part-time job and got a car. And when I felt women were being very promiscuous, you know what? I tended to, whether I knew it or not, I tended not to stay that long there. So I think that because now, ladies, I want to know what y'all think about what I'm about to say. I think a lot of ladies are acting like men in these streets.
Okay. Okay, 2 points. Okay, so you're addressing me first, right?
Yeah. Do you think so or no? I don't know.
Okay, so first of all, you don't think that women adjust to men? Ever?
I think in years past, in other cultures, yes.
I mean, okay. So
now they say, I ain't gonna settle after 10 years of not being with nobody. Hey, your way ain't working.
Okay, I don't know if that applies to all women, because there are a lot of women.
It applies to those who can't find anybody because they think no one's on their level. This is a relationship show. I'm just trying to get people together.
I understand that. But there are a lot
Yes,
of
you are.
women they do adapt to men. I mean, so you can't say that women don't. I mean, we will.
I think the expectation is men adapt to them.
I think that's because you're a man. That's why I think you think that.
Maybe.
But
I can be shallow.
But I'm saying is if you're looking at our side of it, because there are women, we do things to be as visually appealing as possible to men in so many ways.
I think some of the conversations I have with women, I feel like I'm debating with a man.
Okay, so what you're also saying then, okay, well, we've had these conversations, so I kind of know where I'm sort of leading
Yeah,
you to.
talk for me.
Which is you're saying the thing that you and I always talk about, which is there are a lot of women who rate themselves as men would rate themselves
It's
when
a
once
lot
they're
of
in the
toxic
title.
masculinity in these women.
Okay, that's what that's what you say. So the woman who will say things like, I don't know why I have a man. I mean, I have a great job, I have a beautiful home, and I have basically all the things that a woman would look for in a man. Is that what
Right,
you're
but
saying?
men don't look for that.
Men don't look for that in a woman.
No.
So basically, we are adjusting ourselves to something that's kind of not really real.
We always adjust ourselves to what women are looking for.
Okay.
And we just do. That's because we're used to losing and competing. We know life isn't fair. If I'm in 8th grade and Bernard's on the basketball team, I just got to live with some girls like basketball players and I move on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, you're not everybody's type. I mean, that's cool.
I wanted Rihanna, Beyonce. They didn't want me. My pockets wasn't deep enough. I'm not going to sit here and lament and wait on that. I'm going to pick out of a lot who not only wants me, but somebody that I want.
So
that's straight up Kris the Critic first volume for sure.
If I were 5'2", living in my mama's basement, 300 pounds, I'm going to keep going down till I got a woman with one leg and a kickstand who will accept me. It's just how men are.
So Kris, in your world, is it easier for a guy to get a woman or a woman to get a man? Attract a man?
It's always easier for a woman to get anybody.
I could not agree more. Okay, so now right there with I agree with that 1,000%.
But I'm not talking about hooking up. In our community, there's a big disconnect from a lot of things that Bernard mentioned that affects our children now because we're having children out of wedlock. We're not raising them with another person. It's a lot of things out here that it's hurting us. I got married later. I probably would have saved more if I got married younger. I would like to see more people who are, built together younger. In our community, we tell our young girls in the beauty shop, get your own. You don't need a man. Be independent. And the other side is telling them what type of family to pick. Same for the men. You're in the barbershop, you're a player. You're this. That stuff just doesn't help us. And I think it transcends into adulthood. And here we all are trying to figure things out later on in life. I didn't get married till I was almost 40.
But would you replay that, man? I mean, I think that your contribution to family is really kind of aligned with the maturity that allowed you to do that and make that decision when you did.
But I was victim of what I was seeing in the media too. I was consumed. I felt the more women, the merrier. I mean, if I'm gonna keep it a buck,
Listen,
we have to teach the next generation about value versus. I hate to say it because I used to disagree with Bernard on this capitalism thing hard, but we are chasing things that aren't necessarily good for us.
But I said
that right, Bernard? No.
Let me throw this in there.
It would take a little bit more, but yeah.
I think
Wait, 1 second, Travis. Because we got a few more minutes left. Go ahead, Bernard.
Go ahead, B.
End of the day, we are heavily integrated at this juncture. So with us being integrated, we literally are turned into the people that enslaved us. And so our values, our sensibilities, our ideologies are basically becoming akin to theirs. And so we're losing ourselves and becoming them. And so we're watching our relationships suffer because we are not them. We're not the people that went around the world conquering, putting our language, putting our culture, putting our values on people. But we're literally taking on everything that they did. We're becoming them because we live under them. We're being dominated by them. And under that domination, there's absolutely no way that we can say that we're all winning as long as we live in this country under them. And so you can have as much money as you want to. We're still in last place in this country. And for us to take on their values and believe that, somehow that's going to be a win for us, we're going backwards. The planet is being destroyed. Our relationships are literally being diluted. They're becoming very artificial. There's absolutely nowhere in the world I'm going to look at a woman and decide whether, we kicked it, we've had some conversations, we feel each other, we have a good time. I'm going to pop the question, how have you been with money in the past? Because we're literally living under capitalism and things happen. I know real good people with multiple degrees that have been in and out of jobs. And it's not a conversation about their aptitude or their acumen. It's about situations that occur as a black person under capitalism with a job. These are things that happen. We've seen the richest fall. The richest people, black people, namely, fall all the way to the bottom. And so if we can't get together and use money as a tool to build together, then I don't really, I'm not interested. Somebody that wants you to come to the table and wants to look at my credit score, how I spent money in the past, what debt I might have. Good for you. Do your thing. I'm no judgment whatsoever. But if we don't get past all of this, assigning these values to our relationships and our personal value and our worth based on currency, fiat currency, we're watching the value of a dollar literally diminish. So all this fiat that we're accumulating, do we diminish in value as a result of that too? Since that's what we're assigning our value and our worth to? Is it
y'all didn't know y'all was getting all this on the critic, did y'all? Y'all didn't know y'all was getting all this. That was very insightful, but very true. I agree with it all. And like a lot of things, I think our community is being disproportionately affected by it. Go ahead, Gina B.
I was just going to say, okay, Bernard, I totally get your point. Here's my question, though. If you're saying that, can we get together and build?
Gina B, we got like 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, my last thing. If we're supposed to get together and build, I don't agree with having a checklist on a date, like what's your credit score, blah blah blah. But at the same time, aren't you looking for the strongest person to build with? So that's my only question. And so that's
I think that's more of a statement than a question. Hell yeah, you are.
That's what I would think.
Yeah,
so
but Gina B, what if you're looking and you're overshooting? Because right now we got people looking at themselves in the mirror saying, I deserve this. But obviously, if nobody's checking, you ain't that.
Well, the market corrects that for you, right?
Men don't do that. We don't play those games. We go find who wants us and we pick from that lot.
But the market corrects it for you. Like, so what you're
We don't wait on the market, Gina. We don't go without.
Figuratively, sir. I'm talking about like what you're,
Knocked all the way down though.
I mean, you'll get anyway. This is going to be a longer conversation than what we have time for here.
Wait a minute. I don't know if it makes sense, but he wrote a paragraph, so I got to shut. Could you blow Kevin Harmon up real quick? And then after that, I want our guests to give some time while I do this. 2 or 3 things to what men like you guys, because you guys are smart, you guys are doing wonderful. I wouldn't have had you on the show. I'm thanking you ahead of time. I thank you at the end. But give some thought about, if you could say 2 or 3 things what men want, your top 2 just to throw out to the ladies after I do this. But Kevin, while capitalism has its benefits, it is without drawbacks. For example, it can lead to income inequality, environmental exploitation of workers is important to consider both benefits. Agreed. Kevin wanted to get into his capitalism thing. I got it. Sonia Chapman said, Bernard is my favorite resident capitalism expert. Bernard, go ahead. And then I want to see Sonia Chapman's response.
Just real quick, because I ain't going to go too hard on it, but
No, go hard.
Capitalism was literally founded off our enslavement. Like literally, it's a profit-driven system. It's profit-motivated. And so with that being said, we were enslaved, no overhead. Let's go get these black people and make them work for us and not pay them a dime. So it's a system founded on slavery. It's intrinsically evil. There is no altruistic version of capitalism. And I would debate that with anyone.
Let me ask you a capitalism question since I have you. Do you think, because I always think it's so unfair for those who have, because they sort of change the rules. Because, for instance, when capitalism says if a company is doing bad, you're supposed to let them go out of business. But we keep seeing bailouts when they do bad, when some executive tricks off the money. So that's why I don't like it, because I think, and no matter what color the president, no shade to the man, but every president has done the same thing. So you're right in that aspect, which is the beef that I have with capitalism. Nothing to do with relationships, people, but we have to have that because we're here.
And to Karen Allen's point, we're talking about paying our individual. I mean, I don't think we're all the way to capitalism.
I want to see what Sonia Carter Chapman said real quick. And then Karen, and then I'm going to hit from the 2 guys, and then we'll wrap. The Almighty never gives completely what he wants to. Okay, Sonia is a woman of the cloth.
On July 7th, talking like that. Oh my goodness.
Sonia has been with her husband forever. Sonia, you are the example. You need to go ahead. You need to be on the show. Let's go with Karen Allen.
That's my birthday twin.
Sonia chose a man. I met her husband. The man is these character guys. I'm telling you, ladies, do not pass them over. Karen Allen, ain't nobody talking about Calvin. We're talking about, can you pay them damn mortgages? Karen, that's a good question. But any man, Karen, with any brain or self-worth will pay your mortgage without you asking. If whatever you bring matches that. So you got to ask yourself, you know, in women like this, if you want a man making this, what are you giving him? Ain't nobody stupid out here. Yeah. We're gonna turn over to Travis. I need you to give me a 1-minute version of a recap of what men, a couple things, tips, advice, close out, and then 1 minute. And then Bernard do that, Gina B, and I don't need to say anything.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I promise you. Bottom line is be your authentic self. Bring it to every conversation. Don't be limited. Work on the relationship so you can form a partnership. Partnerships is what really lead to a successful marriage.
Okay.
You can't stand it. I stop like that.
I didn't believe it. I was like, well, you can give him 10 minutes. Go ahead, Kramer.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to take a whole minute either, but I think self-awareness, number one. Understand who you are, understand what your triggers are, what your faults are. Every relationship was not the other person's fault. Be honest about what you're looking for. Be honest about what you tolerate. Be honest about your preferences. And be fair and understand that both black men and women are dealing with, whether people want to understand that or not, the scourges of capitalism, which we are impacted by. And nearly full of it. I mean, a lot of our social psychologists basically said if you don't understand certain things about this world, everything else is going to fail and it's going to confuse you. And as a woman or a man or whatever, whether you're embarking about a relationship or talking about paying mortgages or building a business, if you don't understand capitalism, you're going to be confused about a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of things, including your relationship. And so my thing is, we got to keep feeding each other. We got to stop being so angry towards each other. And we got to stop pointing our fingers at each other.
Amen to that. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. We didn't even get on that, but thank you for pointing that out. Gentlemen, Gina B, go ahead, and then I'll close.
No, you just wrap it, because I know we're
No, first off, very different perspectives. A lot of the folks are used to hearing, you know, me beef about the same things. Very good insight. Bernard, thank you for bringing up, you know, these, how we've been swayed by capitalism. Sometimes men, we are quick to blame women for whatever, you know, things that we feel are wrong in our lives, and women, I feel they do the same. I'd like to hear some of the sources of that pain and where it comes from, and I think we need to do more of that. Powers, thank you for giving me, I mean, you know, I know you think about things from a very different standpoint, but what I did hear from you all is some honesty, and I will tell women, this show is entitled What Men Want. Ladies, I know a lot of jokers out here. If you find a man that you are interested in and you vibe with, like, and he's honest like these guys are, I would say it's worth looking into. One of the things we talk about, and I've talked to, Bernard mentioned it tonight, Travis and I have mentioned it, I always take a couple takeaways. You know, men are real simple creatures, right? I don't care how educated they are. They do like respect. They like to feel respected, and they like to feel needed. So if you find a man that you value, you know, you get the most out of him with that. And to Bernard's point, I think that capitalism has blinded a lot of us in more ways, and now I got to research that because I appreciate you bringing that. We're going to have to do this show again. To Neil Jackson, thank you for having me bring some brothers in because we got some different insights. I might bring them back. I will see what their schedules are. If they liked it, if they enjoyed it, we bring them back. Gina B, I look forward to having you in the studio.
Next week.
Because I'm in here drinking apple juice by myself.
Can't have that.
Jake didn't want to drink. He's barely 21. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. Anyone watching the show, I know a lot of people watching afterwards. Gina B and I do go back. We look at the questions. We look at the comments. We'll be back next week with hopefully something insightful. And we will continue, at least for the short term, our Dating Over 40 series. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining the show. I do appreciate you.
Appreciate you, critic.
Peace and love, man. Talk to y'all later. Gina B, we out.
How do I get out of here? Or do I?
Don't, Travis, you stay.
I'm stuck.
Day. That's right.